Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the 45th President of the United States of America, Donald J. Trump.
Thank you. Wow. This is a big crowd, I'll tell you. This goes all the way back. I wish they'd show it because they just don't do that. You know, they don't like to. This goes all the way back. I just looked at it on television, but it's our television. We show it, but they don't show it. You know why? Because they're fake news, right? They're fake news. Hello, Alabama, and I'm thrilled to be back in your incredible, wonderful state that we won by a record number. We won this state. We also won a lot of other states by numbers that they don't tell you about. And you look at what's going on now. You look at what's going on now and the border, but take a look at Afghanistan, what's happening. But I'm with thousands of proud, hardworking, incredible American patriots. With your help, we're going to elect our friend Mo Brooks to the U.S. Senate. We're going to fire Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, Joe Biden, and the radical left. And we're going to make America great again. We have been making it so great. Now they're biting into that, but we're not going to let that happen. We can never let that happen. That's why, you know, I had the idea, all my ideas. Someday they're going to tell me how to do things. But I like the George Patton piece. Did you like that? General Patton. I thought so. Because we're getting a little tired of the woke generals that we have, right? Where they move our military out before they move our civilians and before they move $83 billion worth of equipment. Let's move them out. And the Taliban looks and they say, I can't believe it. This could only happen to us. I can't believe it. The military left. They go in. We have 45,000 people there, Americans, anywhere from, I guess, 15. They have no idea how many. That's even worse. They say it could be 10. Oh, could also be 45,000, but it's a lot of people and equipment like nobody has anywhere in the world, $83 billion. 1 year ago this month, in my nomination acceptance speech, which you remember, a lot of you were there. I see a lot of you that were there. I warned the entire country of the disastrous consequences of a Biden presidency. I understood it. A lot of you understood it too. I said that Joe Biden would eliminate America's borders in the middle of a pandemic. He did. I predicted that he would unleash a wave of violent crime that would turn our cities into a nightmare of killing and bloodshed. You look at these Democrat-run cities, Chicago, LA, big cities, small cities, everyone run by a Democrat, New York. They don't prosecute people in New York. Only Republicans they prosecute. They don't prosecute murderers and killers. They prosecute Republicans. It's misconduct. It's called prosecutorial misconduct. But I told you this was going to be happening. We stated it loud and clear. We said he would impose crippling shutdowns and restrictions on in-person schooling and that these painful policies would nonetheless fail to stop the virus. He didn't stop the virus, you know? They say, oh, he gets wonderful marks. He doesn't get good marks. He's done a terrible job, including on vaccinations, including on everything else. And now the virus is back. The virus is back. I'm shaking hands with everybody backstage. I say, well, I don't know, is this a good thing or bad? You'll read about it in 3 or 4 days, maybe, hopefully not. But I said that Biden would embolden America's enemies, and that's what he's done, and that the radical Democrat socialist agenda would set our nation on the road to economic ruin. You look at what's going on with inflation. Has anyone noticed that your gasoline is now at levels that you never thought you'd see again 6 months ago? So we had $1.87 a gallon, and we had a thriving industry, energy independent. Nobody thought would ever be energy independent. We didn't need the Middle East. We didn't need the Middle East. And now you have over $5 in many cases, and it's going, even here, it's going to be over $5 very soon. And I saw the other day, before this whole thing with Afghanistan started, because right now, nobody's talking even about energy, even about the horrible border condition that they're allowing millions of people to come into our country, people that we have no idea, but people aren't talking about that, talking about the disaster of Afghanistan. Not only have my predictions come 100% true, but it's even worse than any of us could have imagined in our worst nightmare. Nobody thought this kind of thing could happen. Biden has obliterated our border, given up our energy independence, caused soaring inflation. He failed totally on economic and policies. I mean, you look at what's going on, it's crazy. And the senators that voted for this $1.2 trillion bill, of which they call it infrastructure, but only 11% is infrastructure. Where the hell are these people coming from? It's the roadmap. They call it the glide path. It's the roadmap to the Green New Deal. All right? We rebuilt our military, stronger, bigger, better than ever before, and now I see it being dissipated and being given. Our military is being given to the enemy. Biden failed totally on the pandemic, and he's now overseeing the greatest foreign policy humiliation in the history of the United States of America. This is the greatest humiliation I've ever seen. Biden's botched exit in Afghanistan is the most astonishing display of gross incompetence by a nation's leader, perhaps at any time that anybody's ever seen. Name another situation like this. Vietnam looks like a masterclass in strategy compared to Joe Biden's catastrophe. And it didn't have to happen. All he had to do is leave the soldiers there until everything's out. Our citizens, our weapons. Then you bomb the hell out of the bases. We have 5 bases. And you say, bye-bye. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So we had a deal where we were going to get out with great honor, and they weren't going to play games. And we had to meld it in with the government, but I've never been a big fan of Ghani. I always said he was a total crook. I've said it for years. It turned out he was a crook. He was a crook, and he left. He fled. He fled with a lot of cash. What we've done, how we got into that mess is just amazing. But we could have gotten out with honor, and we should have gotten out with honor. And instead, we got out with the exact opposite of honor. Since my administration began negotiating a peace deal last year, somebody said, oh, he's dealing with the Taliban. Who the hell else am I supposed to deal with? Deal with the people that ran or the people that were highly paid? You know, we paid the soldiers. They were among the highest paid soldiers in the world. I remember a certain highly overrated general came to my office. Sir, they're fighting for their lives. They're fighting for their country. I said, no, General. They're paid more than any soldier in the world. And when that payment stops, they're gone. And that's exactly what happened. Exactly what happened. But since my administration began the negotiations on the peace deal last year, not a single American service member has been killed in combat in Afghanistan. It's over 18 months now, 18 months. And you know why that is? Not because the Taliban aren't great fighters, because they are great fighters. All you have to do is ask Russia, which used to be called the Soviet Union, and because of Afghanistan, it's now Russia. Much smaller version of what it was. Because of Afghanistan, they went bust, spending so many years and so much money and not winning in Afghanistan. But all of that money they spent, all of the lives they lost, same thing. But all you have to do is ask Russia, what do you think? Now I hear they're going back in, not so fast. Everybody that's gone in hasn't been so good. And you know what? We have to go in, and we should go in when it's right. And we now may have to be forced to go in because this person that is running our country made a horrific decision of taking all of our powerful military out. We may be forced to go in, and we may not be forced, but we may be forced to go in. And if you're not prepared to go in, you're never going to see those 45,000 people again. That I can tell you. If they don't think you're prepared to go in, you're never going to see again, whether it's 10 or 45,000 people. You'll never see them again. The soldiers have left. I could just see this. The leadership of the Taliban standing there. Somebody walking up. Sir, the soldiers have left Afghanistan. He goes, what? The soldiers have left. And they've left all of their citizens behind. And they've left $83 billion worth of equipment behind, including brand new Apache helicopters, thousands of Humvee vehicles with armor guard, equipment that nobody has ever even seen before. It was so sophisticated and good. So can you imagine these guys, Abdul and his friends, sitting there, that the United States soldiers, our military, has left. They walked in. They walked in, and they took everything. It's crazy. It's crazy. I've never seen anything so stupid in my life. Somebody said, "Don't say it, sir. It's not good." I asked yesterday, I was with a group of people, and there was a 5-year-old child. And I explained the situation to the 5-year-old child. They said, "No, you shouldn't do that, sir, because the press won't like it." I said, "That's okay. I don't mind. The press doesn't like anything I do. They actually do like it, but they'll never say it, okay?" But I asked the child, "So what would you do after describing? Would you leave the military until everything's out, including the civilians and all of that incredible military equipment? Or would you have the military go out first?" "Sir, I'd leave the military in." He was 5. He said, "I'd leave the military in. Get everything out first." I said, "Thank you very much." But they didn't want me to tell that story. They thought it was not an appropriate story, but it's true. This is a 5-year-old kid, 5 or 6-year-old kid. And this is what we're stuck with. But when Biden took office, he foolishly tore up our really good plan. Again, not a plan, it's conditions. We do this, we do this, we do this. If you don't do these things, we're not going to do it. And then we start dropping bombs all over the place. And they say, "You know what? We're going to do it. We've decided to do it." The issue here is not about whether to leave Afghanistan. The issue is Joe Biden's staggering incompetence and gross negligence. He doesn't know where the hell he is. You think he's running the government? He's not running the government. Creating the greatest strategic humiliation that we've ever seen as a country, and it was something that we should have stopped, and the general should have done something. They should have done something. They should have talked to him and said, "Look, Commander-in-Chief," but you just couldn't have done that. If he had if he just moved the people out, he should have done it, and he should have done it first. He had to have done it first. You know, sometimes in life, decisions are made. And when those decisions are made, if they're bad decisions, you've got to get away from them. And you've got to get away from them fast. And if you don't get away from them, you're not going to have a country anymore. With a Republican Congress, we will fight for more jobs for American families, fair trade for American workers, and we've done more on trade deals than any other administration in the history of our country, including the China deal, which I don't even talk about anymore because of COVID, but the China deal has made our farmers rich. Our farmers and manufacturers have never done better. And more American factories forging more products stamped with that very beautiful phrase, "Made in the USA." So in conclusion, our movement is up against some of the most sinister forces and entrenched interests that anyone can even imagine. But no matter how big our way of life, no matter how big our country or how powerful they may seem. You must never forget this nation does not belong to them. This nation belongs to you. This is your home. This is your heritage. And our magnificent American liberty is your God-given right. The citizens of the United States of America will not be dictated to and talked down to by incompetent politicians, corrupt tyrants, left-wing bullies, or socialist bureaucrats in Washington, D.C., a place that I got to know very, very well. We are descended from the heroes and the patriots, the pioneers and the legends who tamed the great wilderness, who settled this vast continent, and who laid down the railroads, raised up the skyscrapers, and poured out their blood, sweat, and tears to build this country into the greatest nation in the history of the world, and we are not going to let it be taken away from us under any circumstances. Our ancestors crushed fascism. Beneath the weight of American tanks, they toppled communism by the strength of American culture, and now we will defeat woke radicalism and a continuation of communism, because that's what this is heading for. We will defeat it with the sheer power of American pride and American brain. Our leaders may not believe in the destiny of America. They may not believe in the destiny of America. I really don't believe in many ways they love our country. But we do, and we are not going to let anybody take that love away. We know that there is no mountain we cannot climb, there is no summit we cannot reach, and there is no challenge we cannot meet. We are Americans, and the future belongs to us. We are going to have a great future. We are going to turn this mess around. This is a horrible thing that's happening to our country. We're laughed at all over the world. We're not going to be laughed at anymore. This is a horrible, horrible thing, and it's going to go on for a while, but we've got to end it. We cannot let this happen. They're destroying our country. We will not bend. We will not break. We will not yield. We will never give in. We will never give up. We will never back down. We will never, ever surrender. My fellow Americans, our movement is far from over. In fact, our fight has only just begun. And it's probably the greatest movement in the history of our world. It's probably this movement, call it Make America Great Again, call it America First, call it what you will. I believe it's the greatest movement probably in the history of the world. And it's just starting. It's just starting. We are one movement, one people, one family, and one glorious nation under God. So with love of our nation swelling in our hearts, and it does swell in your hearts. That's why you're standing here in the rain listening to this person. You're saying, darling, it's raining. Let's go home. But nobody is leaving all the way back. Hundreds and like football fields behind. Football fields. Darling, it's raining. But they say, we're not going home because we love our country. But it's swelling in our hearts. The spirit of America is stirring our souls. And I say these words to you, and you've heard these words before, in some cases, many times before. We will make America powerful again. We will make America wealthy again. We will make America strong again. We will make America, despite what you're seeing today, so sad and so pathetic, we will make America proud again. We will make America safe again. And you know what it is. We will make America great again. Thank you, Alabama. God bless you all. Thank you. Thank you very much.